Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Free Skate Friday presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. I am Rudo, joined as always by AJ Hafley and Evan Rao to bring you guys some college hockey news. I guess it's specifically Avalanche related college hockey news because the Avs have a whole lot of dudes in the tournament.
Well, they did.
Yeah, they still have a bunch. Like, it's just 3 fewer than it was, which was bound to happen eventually anyway. But
yeah, I mean, they were losing 3 no matter what.
Yeah,
based on the Notre Dame BC result. But which 3? You feel very differently about the BC 3 than the Notre Dame 3.
I mean, I know BC found a way to lose that game the other day, but I don't think that BC team is losing to Notre Dame in a 3-game set.
Maybe.
You think? You have faith? Notre Dame is not that good of a hockey team this year.
No, but they could, I mean, in a winner-take-all setting where you could just...
Yeah, sure. You do the thing once.
Yeah, I mean, where they just grind you down, right? And they want to play a 1-0 game. All you got to do, the only thing they're really missing is Cam Morrison to score the overtime goal.
Yeah, that's true. He was big goal Cam for them in the tournaments. Yeah. But, so let's start with news of the day first before we jump into the college stuff. Obviously, some bad news for the Avs with Matt Calvert officially back to being week to week. It is what it is. AJ and I have said our piece on it. The expectation is you'll never know if Matt Calvert's truly healthy or not for the rest of the season. So you live with that. Jacob McDonald still being monitored. Unclear exactly what is going on with him. And then the news around the league for the day, which could sort of affect the Avs. Eric Stahl probably being traded to Montreal. They have to clear some cap space. It sounds like they might do something else to get that done. But what was a potential trade target for the Avs likely coming off the board?
Yeah, I mean, we had kind of talked about it as like an intriguing possibility, right? But over the last couple of weeks, I think with the way that Tyson Jost has played and the third line has really gelled, it was looking like it was going to be less of a deadline need.
Yeah, for sure. The Avs, assuming health, the Avs center depth is perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that third line is really everyone's kind of doing everything perfectly right now. So now it's not that big of a concern. Yeah,
and like they're finding ways to contribute often enough, right? I mean, the Chushkin pulls an assist here, Donskoy scores on the power play. It's really just Jost's offensive production continues to be problematic, but the line itself is playing at a really high level together.
Yep.
So,
and you can live with that if you're getting production out of Comfer on the fourth line too, which they did the other night. We'll see how sustainable that really is, but it certainly seems fine for now down the middle. Look, you can always look to improve your team as the deadline approaches, but certainly for a depth center, the Avs aren't as desperate as they were even 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they have JT Comfer playing on the wing right now.
Right.
While we've said a number of times that would be a preference, that's they get an injury there or underperformance there. You can always move Comfer back into center if need be. Maybe move Jost or Belmar over if that's the route that you want to go. So it's just like right now, we've talked about the 3C is like the big hole in the forward core, and it just doesn't feel that way over the last 2-3 weeks. It feels like they found a viable solution to this. Over the next couple of weeks, we still have, 2.5 weeks until the deadline?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks until the deadline. So 2.5 more weeks worth of games for them to figure out, is the Tyson Jost as your third line center? Is it legitimately viable? Is this something that you're comfortable going into the playoffs with? Or do you go and do you get somebody else and kind of reshuffle in the last month of the season?
Yep. I mean, the Avs have to make some decisions there. They possibly have to make some decisions on defense too, especially if McDonald is out for a significant portion of time. So, and part of those decisions is internal options, whether it be Connor Timmins on defense or let's just jump right into the conversation here. If Alex Newhook loses in the tournament and his season is over, is there a way to get him into the lineup right now? We just talked about the Avs are kind of okay down the middle, so
yeah,
it's hard to drop him in at center. You look at their wing depth, you look at potential options like Martin Kaut could even be ahead of Newhook right now. It's starting to get hard to find room for him even, and the NHL level at the very least.
Well, if you look at, again, we just touched on the centers, but if you look at the left wings, which is the other spot where you would reasonably put Alex Newhook, you have Landeskog and Brandon Saad there. Okay, so he's not taking either of those jobs.
Yep.
But then Val Nichushkin's a rock on that third line right now. Why you're not touching that? And then on the fourth line, that would seem to be the only open spot. And that's entirely dependent on just who you want to play there. How do you Logan O'Connor needs to be on the ice, right? Like he needs to be in the game. But would you rather have Logan O'Connor or Alex Newhook?
Evan?
Would JT Compher or Alex Newhook, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare or Alex Newhook? Like, you're going to have that conversation. You say any of those guys or Alex Newhook. That's the only place on the roster where there's an obvious answer where you could say, if you want him as a center, you can put him as a center. The problem is that Bellemare plays a very niche and specialized role for you. Newhook won't play the same kind of role. Can Bellemare still be as effective as he has been at all the little things, including not scoring very much if he's a wing? If he's not doing, if maybe all he's doing is taking faceoffs. That's the only center duty that he's taking, and Newhook is doing the rest. Is it really worth it to do that? Why not just play Newhook at the wing at that point?
So if you sign Newhook, the ELC starts right away, right?
It does. Yeah.
No
So if they sign him and they play him in the NHL this year, it's go time. There's no messing around with games played.
The one thing you mentioned right there is the role. If you drop Newhook into that fourth line, are you suddenly adjusting how you deploy all of the other lines as well? Because what they're doing right now is working. All four lines are working, and do they really want to mess with that right now? And at this point, I don't know if they do, but they don't have to decide that right now. But I the way things are going right now, I don't see a spot for Newhook. And if you're maybe looking long term, that you can be a little bit patient here and wait this out.
It's a whole lot easier to drop him in when Bellemare suddenly doesn't exist in your lineup.
Yeah, when you get into the off season and let's just say, so Bellemare is a UFA and he's gone. Calvert is a UFA and he's gone. And then Brandon Saad is a UFA and he's gone. Okay, all of it is okay. Well, there's 3 spots that he could fill right there. And then hey, if Seattle takes one of your forwards, if they take a Donskoy or if they take a Compher, all right, well now you've got 4 spots to fill. So finding a spot for Alex Newhook next year, no problem.
So, and I do think a significant part of this is role, as you guys kind of both alluded to. Alex Newhook was not drafted to be a penalty killer. I think certainly plan A is he's never going to be a penalty killer in the NHL.
Just keep in mind, he did play his entire college career as part of their top PK unit.
And he's not great at it.
I'm just saying he spent his whole college career doing the thing you're saying he won't do.
Yeah, well, Sampo Ranta also spent some time on the PK, and I wouldn't throw that dude within 50 miles of a penalty kill. So colleges make decisions sometimes, but certainly as a rookie, there's no way the Avs are going to trust him to play significant PK minutes. How about we put it that way? And that's where it becomes tough, I think, because Belmar does do that for the Avs. You look at the other potential options in the bottom six that he could replace, and all of their roles are pretty well defined. And either they're playing well enough that there's no way that you can sit them for Newhook, or Newhook doesn't fit that role super well.
Yeah. The other thing to consider here, like we all kind of envision Alex Newhook as the future 2C behind Nathan McKinnon.
Yep.
But he's not going to start his career there. You know, when you get young guys that come in, it takes time for them to work up into that lineup, into that top six. And the Avs have the perfect insulation. Kadri signed for another year.
Yep.
Which is why I would say it's likelier that he's a Brandon Saad replacement than a Nazem Kadri replacement to start his career. It's why I'm open to the idea of him playing on the left wing somewhere if there were an opening. You know, if Val Nichushkin goes out and tears up his knee and misses the rest of this season, I think the Alex Newhook conversation becomes a lot more real. You know, because then you do have a left wing problem. Right now, you're very comfortable with the three left wings, 1 through 3. You'd be very comfortable with Matt Calvert, with Logan O'Connor, with JT Compher. That combination of those guys playing on your fourth line, you're also really comfortable with those cats. But Calvert's constantly hurt, and Compher is obviously, look, he's had a good week, but through 30 games has battled real ineffectiveness this season. So you do still have like some holes there. So I think the Newhook conversation, the likeliest route, he finishes his college career, he gets an ATO, he goes to play for the Eagles. And then if something happens with the Avs after that, they can always revisit that and say, well, let's just get you on an ELC right now and bring you up and then have you come and join the team.
For sure.
It's not like if they sign him to the ATO and he goes to play for the Eagles, like there's a 0% chance you see him after that.
And I do want to get into the Eagles talk a little bit more, but I did want to ask Evan first. With Newhook's development, are you as comfortable as AJ putting him on the left side, or do you prefer to see him down the middle?
Yeah, it's completely fine. I would say a good chunk of young centers don't always start at center right away, so it's not that big a deal to me. And most centers are pretty fluid in being able to play the wing. So, yeah, that's completely fine, especially if you're a young guy. And, you know, it wouldn't be like he came in and just played completely the wing. You know that they would switch things up a little bit. So we're having this discussion now, obviously, because Jost has emerged over the last few weeks. But like AJ said, if that changes in the next few weeks, you have that option there. So, you know, he can play wing, he can play center. It doesn't really matter. I think either is going to be fine for his development.
I would say maybe the last part of this conversation before we move on to all the other guys. Is Newhook the best trade deadline addition they could make?
Certainly without shipping anything significant out.
I mean,
yes.
Just consider even if they wanted to go out and trade for somebody. Everybody always talks about Phil Deneau. You know, the Habs are not in the middle of trading for Eric Stahl and doing all of this just so that they can
ship out another center. AJ just read some kind of news.
Yeah, so the Canadians got Eric Stahl for a third and a fifth round pick.
So there's got to be like no salary retention there, basically.
All right.
Or is
That's
Buffalo
cheap.
really going true fire sale with those kind of prices?
That's cheap.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I guess the third is a nice get. I don't
Is
know.
it? How much? What's his cap hit actually at? Let me see.
It's low.
Yeah, isn't it? He's making what, like $3 million or something like that?
It's not that low. Yeah, 3.25.
Yeah, I mean, what is it today though?
Yeah, that's true. What remains on it is like 1.5 mil, probably something like that. But either way, Stahl officially to Montreal. Who knows what they did to make the cap work at this point, but
yeah, it's fine. So anyway, back to my original question here of, we're going to be talking a lot about the trade deadline and third line center options for Colorado. Is Alex Newhook the best option among all of those?
I think there's a very real possibility that the answer is yes. The problem is there's no proven element to it, right?
Yeah. Well, you also consider there's the cost here is the ELC.
Yeah,
you lose the first year of his deal.
Yep. Wow, the Sabres retained 1.5 mil on Stahl, and all they got was a third. That is cheap as hell.
See, and had Colorado paid a third and a fifth, we would get closer to our dream of them having no draft. They're going to draft in the first round and then the seventh round, and that's it. That would have been it. Dang it.
Don't even show up for day 2 of the draft.
That would have been. Could you imagine if they only had picks in the first and the seventh? And they're just like desperately trying to trade that seventh. Like, just get rid of us.
Right. Just we don't want to show up tomorrow.
Yeah. Just get rid of this thing and let us trade it for a 6th round pick next year.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So Stahl off the board officially. Good for Montreal, I guess.
All right, well, glad we didn't clip those videos.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't do any of that legwork on Eric Stahl today.
Would have been a massive waste of time. Point being, certainly at center, I don't know where the Avs could go to do better than Newhook. Upside-wise. Could they find someone who fits a bottom 6 role better than Newhook? Probably.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that's at.
Definitely.
But if people recommend Gloop Glendening one more time, I'm going to lose it.
Oh, man. There are better options from that team. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
There are some real options from that team.
Yeah, no, I agree. But we can take our first period break there as we are brought to you by Chevalier Mortgage. Both Mike and Virginia have been in the business for a long time. And Mike is a certified financial planner, so he has you covered when it comes to more than just your home loan. You can head to DNVRmortgage.com to get a free consultation and your chance to win some free DNVR merch as well. So check it out today, and they'll get you set up with a perfect home loan as well. You can again, go to dnvrmortgage.com or call Virginia directly at 303-257-6578. Michael Chevalier, NMLS 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS 1910631. And of course, we're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number 1 rated sportsbook app out there. I bet you can bet on the hockey NCAA tournaments as well over there. So if March Madness isn't your thing, you can always bet on the other sports. But when you sign up with code DNVR, you get an opportunity to turn $1 into $100 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet on any team to win their game anywhere in the March Madness tournament, and you can get that $100. So jump on it today. Be sure to check out their daily odds boost for all the other sports as well. They always have amazing offers one way or another. So they got you covered. No matter what sport you like, even if it's like barely even considered a sport, you can kind of bet on it at DraftKings Sports.
Like bowling?
Like bowling. to some people esports, but those people are wrong. They're allowed to be wrong.
Who do you think you are? I am.
One of the great quotes of bowling history.
Oh man, that video is
It's the only quote from
legendary.
bowling history, isn't it?
Yes.
I
exactly.
did it! I did it! If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. It's pure gold. Is that Pete Weber? Is that who that is? Yeah.
I think
All right.
that's his name, yeah. Didn't he?
Pretty
I think he just retired.
Yeah, this was his last year on the tour or whatever. Weird how much info you pick up. Anyway, head on over to DraftKings Sportsbook. You can download their top-rated app now and use code DNVR when you sign up. Please let them know we sent you to get the amazing one for $100 offer on any basketball team in March Madness. Limited time only. DraftKings Sportsbook must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Rudo, Evan, AJ coming at you. Should we talk about the other big name? Should we talk about the man with?
Let's talk about the 3 kids that don't get to participate.
All right, fine.
Where that's headed.
So Notre Dame officially out after the cancellation of what was going to be their head-to-head clash with BC boys Newhook, Hellison, and Ambrosio.
So Ryder Ralston goes back for his sophomore year, and we don't have to talk anymore about that.
That was destined to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Nick
Lieberman, though, I wanted to see Nick Lieberman on the big stage. I really wanted to see him go against the speed and the skill that BC was going to present.
Yeah.
I really wanted that head-to-head, just to see where he was.
See if there was some offensive shootoutiness going on there a little bit.
Well, just, the big question with Lieberman, he's always been a great skater. He's always been a little undersized. This year, he improved the puck moving and the offensive generation all went up. But the question about with him is going to be, can he hold up defensively at the point of attack? Is he going to be able to? So you're going to be able to handle physicality, and with BC's forward core, all full of NHL like guys who have been drafted or highly sought after undrafted free agents like Hardman and McLaughlin. Are they going to be? How is Lieberman going to hold up? That's what I wanted to know, man. I wanted to find that out, and we don't get that now. It's not the difference between Lieberman getting an ELC or not, but one more year, and I would seriously, I think Lieberman has put himself on the map to get an ELC. But I wanted to see that head-to-head matchup. I think that would have been a nice evaluation tool because of just how loaded the BC forward court is with guys who are all headed to the NHL sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one game, depending on what you can take from it, but it certainly ends up being a bad look if he gets dropped a -4 on him or something in the game.
Right. I mean, we always say, the World Juniors and stuff, it's only the one game against Canada or the United States, but like Drew Hellison looked great in the gold medal game.
Yep.
That was a big feather in his cap. And to be honest, a launching point for a great sophomore year.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed we don't get that. And obviously the same applies for Nate Klarman. I just don't have the same hype level on Klarman that I do Lieberman.
Yeah, agreed 100% on that one. It's two different skill sets, right? Like Klarman, it's almost the opposite. Like you expect sound defense from that kid. And then the question is upside on the offensive end.
Yeah. Can he do anything with the puck?
It's not that different from Drew Hellison, honestly, at the start of the year, despite being significantly older.
Yeah.
Evan, which D would you rather have? Do you want the offensive dynamo or do you want the defensive stalwart?
Well, first of all, how old is Klerman at this point? That guy's been a prospect forever.
At least 22. He might be 23.
Yeah. He and Ryan Graves are actually the same age.
There's
So
no
he's
way
25.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I was totally kidding.
He turns 23 in May.
I wouldn't have been surprised at all because I feel like that guy's just been kicking around forever.
He is older than Cale Makar.
Well, you keep in mind, Nate Clerman was drafted in the Cam Morrison draft.
Yep.
And Cam Morrison just graduated a year ago as Clerman was finishing his sophomore year. So Nate Clerman is on his way to a 6-year tenure as an Avalanche prospect.
Nice. Well, as for the question, I mean, the way the NHL is moving, I would rather take a chance on. If you had to choose between an ELC between one of the two guys, I go with the guy that's maybe got a little bit more puck skill. So I would, probably, I guess, go towards Lieberman's there. But yeah, I don't have as much. I've watched a few Notre Dame games this year, mainly to watch their helmets because I like watching the shiny stuff. But beyond that, I don't watch them too much. But the way that a safe defenseman, there's just not going to be a ton of upside there. So I'd rather take a chance on the skills.
Anyone who respects themselves doesn't watch more than a few Notre Dame games. And I say this as someone who's watched like 18 of them this year. So
a lot.
Yeah. So those are the three that their seasons are done. There's no chance they make any other noise the rest of the year. So
the one intriguing aspect of Lieberman, though, is that Colorado's history of developing offensive defensemen. They've done it well. So they haven't it's been a while since they've done it like the traditional route. Girard got dropped into the NHL at 19. All those guys were, Makar was a little bit older. Byram 19, obviously. So, and still to be determined what kind of NHL player Byram ends up being, but just along, Tyson Berry and John Michael Lyles going way back into the day, they've always kind of been able to find these kinds of puck-moving defensemen. I would be intrigued by Nick Lieberman, and especially at their ages, it's not a 3-year ELC anymore. You're talking about a 2-year ELC.
I mean, the Avs have gotten NHL games out of the majority of the defensemen that they've drafted in the past long time. I guess they missed on Josh Anderson. But
Boy, did they.
They got a handful of games out of Andrei Mironov. They got a handful of games out of Anton Lindholm. Now they have games out of Timmins as well. Going back, they got games out of Bigra.
And Zhiravalov is definitely a guy that you have to feel like is trending that direction too.
Yeah, exactly. So something is working when it comes to, if not development, certainly drafting of defensemen in the Avalanche system.
And Lieberman is a guy who started playing hockey pretty late, right?
Yeah.
Like he hasn't been playing hockey for a super long time. So you never know, those guys could just suddenly take off at some point. You never know.
Yeah, if something clicks, it's definitely possible. Did we want to touch on Ambrosio and Hellison at all? Or, I mean, there's not much to say about Ambrosio. He had a good year, and he'll go back next year. So that is what
same with Ryder Ralston. Ambrosio's going back.
Yeah.
Nice. Hellison, I mean, we've all said that he's had a great year, but I don't think he's a realistic ELC candidate this year. It would be a surprise if he came out.
I do wonder, just because the Eagles' D is so thin with Avs prospects, but yeah, I hear you. So if we're not looking at BC, you do have to look through the rest of their prospects, and going head to head, Sampo, Ranta, and Tyler Wiese. One of these dudes has a mortal lock on an ELC, you have to think.
Yeah. You got to think that thing's probably filled out already.
Yeah, just waiting to put pen to paper when his season is over, basically. Did he finish the regular season as the second highest scorer in the NCAA, I believe? Let me pull it up here. Sampo.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
I thought it was funny today that Jared Bednar is like, I've watched Sampo Ranta highlights. He's like, oh, he's just like us.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that guy's schedule, right? He wakes up at 4:00 in the morning and he works out for 4.5 hours, and then he goes to the rink and then he watches video and then he practice. He's on the ice for practice, and then he works out for another 4.5 hours, and then he watches video and then he watches the NHL games that night, and then occasionally he might catch a prospect game.
Yep.
That's it. Like, the guy doesn't have the time to watch college hockey.
Pretty much. He's got to trust his staff on that one. But
yeah, I guess he could always just put it on in the gym while he's working out for 4.5 hours. But
hey, Jared, you see what Sampo did last night? Jared, are you doing curls again?
Who's more jacked, Jared or Sampo? Because both those dudes,
Jared,
they got guns, man. I don't know. You see Sampo like deadlifting like 240 pounds or whatever the hell it was.
All good and well, but he has to go and play hockey at some point.
Whereas Jared's just working on the gun show.
He just gets to continue working out because he doesn't have to get on the ice anymore.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Certainly, I know which one of them skates faster on the ice. No offense to Jared, but
yeah,
Sampo can fly. Before we do get into this Sampo conversation, we do need to take our second period break here, as we are brought to you by Gabby Insurance. Evan, I bet you can save a bunch of money with Gabby Insurance. I wonder if Gabby Insurance would insure your couch. I guess they do home insurance. I guess they do home insurance, so that kind of counts, right?
It's contents, yeah.
There you go. So check out Gabby.com/DNVR.
High premium.
That's GABI.com/DNVR, where the average user saves up to $961. We've had stories of people saving upwards of $1,600. So you can really save yourself a lot of money when it comes to this type of thing. Be sure to check them out today. They're completely free to use. They won't sell any of your info. So they're super awesome when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, they just want to save you money on home and car insurance. Again, Gabby.com/DNVR. Please use the DNVR to let them know we sent you. Supporting our partners is supporting us. We are also brought to you by the Colorado XOs, the new rugby team in town, which is kind of a grand experiment, taking sports athletes from football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, track and field, all of these athletes that possess all the necessary skills to excel at the game of rugby, and they just need to actually learn how to play rugby. So if you're new to the sport, it's a great way to get into it. Watching these guys play, you can see more about their stories at infinitypark@glendale.com. You can see down at the bottom. Be sure to follow Colton Strickler, our rugby reporter at DNVR, and listen to the DNVR Rugby podcast. The XOs are currently 2-1 on the season, so something's working. They have a winning record so far. That's you got to feel pretty good about that, top to bottom. It's a great way to learn the sport as well. Colton has the 101 Rugby podcast, which I wonder if the players listen to learn the game.
Hi. They also might allow fans into their stadium in Glendale sometime in May. So being outdoors, watching some rugby, drinking a beer, that sounds great. So definitely check that out.
All right. So a great opportunity for y'all to go watch some rugby. Now, if you are going to let fans back in your bedroom, boy, do I have a product for you.
What?
Look, I mean, you know what they're doing to let fans back in the arenas? They're cleaning things up. They're making it look good. When you got to sit down and watch the show, you know what they're looking for.
How many people are coming to sit down to watch the show as Sarah walks by?
Hey, I don't kink shame here, all right? Whatever you're into. If you want to, y'all watch The Witcher, right?
No?
All right. Well, there's a scene where the main female protagonist conjures fake people to watch them bang it out. So it's a thing. Manscaped.com.
Excuse me, what?
Yep.
We're just moving on, huh?
If you believe in ghosts, that might be happening anyway.
Fair point. Fair point. How many ghosts are in your apartment just watching you bang it out every time?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right.
All right. Well, now I'm going to think about this.
We're discovering people's fetishes live on Free Skate Friday, and one of them is trimmed junk for sure. I guarantee it. So manscaped.com, use code DNVR to get 20% off and free shipping.
Trim junk fetish.
Oh, jeez.
Jump on it today. Supporting our partners is supporting us. They also have other amazing products like very, very comfortable boxers. You can get shave mats. You can get shaving cream. You can get breath mints. All of it, all over the place. They take care of you, top to bottom.
Poor ghosts, just like ghost high fiving the whole time. Being a ghost is awesome.
No, that actually. So, like in The Witcher, right? In this scene, like the two people climax, and then she makes the like conjured people start clapping, like golf clap style.
What are we talking about on this show today?
I had no intention of watching this show, but now it's all been spoiled for me.
It's called art, Allie.
I'm just gonna say, go Whale. Play at 8 or at 6 o'clock today. Moving back a little bit onto hockey instead of ghost clapping while other people are doing it. Let's focus on hockey.
There's nothing wrong with ghosts watching people bang it out. Okay, they've got to do something while they're trying.
What else are they gonna do?
The comments agree with me. They're saying, "Why is this happening?
Why does anything ever happen? Just move past it."
Yeah, in the background.
Why does anything ever happen is the most existential question of all time.
I don't know about that. I think Allie has to explain to our intern right now that it's like, no, this podcast is usually like this. This is normal.
I am saying he usually needs to make the weirdest thing about this Manscaped read. And you really did not disappoint. You kept it going.
Yeah, now ghosts are involved.
I mean, if you were a ghost, isn't that what you would do? Like, what would you spend your time doing? Like, obviously, you'd want to, like, haunt hotels and stuff. That's an easy one. But, like, wouldn't you just be like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to watch famous people bang it out? Like, you wouldn't want to watch, like, average, like, randos, right? Like, why bother?
There's, like, all right, hashtag ghost sex tapes. Like, feel like there's a marketing opportunity here. So, anyway, getting back to a very real and tangible human being in Sampo Ranta.
What kind of ghost crimes can you commit, though? I'm quite interested in all of this conversation.
No ghost jurisdiction.
What?
Yeah, who's policing the ghosts?
There's that other movie with Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds.
Nobody saw that.
No, I didn't see it either. I don't actually know what it's about, but the whole like shtick was that they're the ghost police or whatever.
What?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I have something to do this afternoon. I'm done podcasting.
R.I.P.D. Yeah, there you go. They figured it out.
Nice.
I guess 3 people saw that movie.
Yeah. 4. Rudo knows what's up.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the trailers. But anyway, Sampo Ranta. I mean, let's be realistic about this guy. He's very likely to sign his ELC and join the Eagles, or they can ATO him this year if they want to keep the extra year or whatever. But
he is 3-year ELC age still.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, he's only 20. Yeah, we're good.
Doesn't really matter either way.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty unrealistic to expect him to be playing for the Avs next year. As well.
I mean, okay, so let's assume that those 4 roster spots we talked about were opened up. Okay. Alex Newhook goes into one, Shane Bowers, Martin Kaut go into the other 2. In an ideal world, obviously. Yeah. In reality, it'll be freaking Sheldon Dries and TJ Tynan, but moving on.
Avs prospect, TJ Tynan.
No. But then, that 4th spot, why not? Why not? Rambo Santa?
Because the Avs are going to go out and get somebody. Because they always do.
Yeah.
That's why.
True.
But
I can't keep up with what his real name is at this point.
What do you mean?
Is it Rambo Santa? Sampo Ranta? I get confused
His
daily.
actual name is Sampo Ranta, but we
Yeah.
call him Rambo Santa.
I know, and it's
Greatest
just
nickname.
throwing me off on a daily basis.
Allie did it last week.
Yep. And there's even and you know why that I also said it? Because someone had just tweeted at me with the account Rambo Santa.
That's why it's confusing me, because
And
they
so
just
my
started
brain was
following me, and I was like,
Rambo
oh,
Santa.
the Avs prospect is following me. Nope, that's just a guy out there.
Just
Honestly, it's
a
probably
dude in
Zach
the
O'Donnell,
world.
knowing Zach O'Donnell.
no, there's there's a Rambo Santa guy on Twitter who's been that name for like since the Avs drafted him.
Since we started calling him that?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so if you're a ghost, you can go watch Sammy Rammy whenever you want.
Yikes.
I'm out. I got nothing left on that. Look, the dude has all the physical tools. The dude, honestly, I think if you don't watch the AHL, this AHL team could be a load of fun in the second half of this season. If you're talking about Bowers, Kaut, Newhook, Ranta.
And with the
all playing on
OHL
that team.
not starting.
Yeah, and Foodie will continue to be there.
Foodie's still there.
That would be a welcome change, considering I've watched their lineup the first half of the year, and there's a lot of human beings I've never heard of in my life.
That defense is still an ECHL defense, but
Speaking
we just
of
don't
ghosts,
talk about
man,
that. Yeah,
that whole defense has
Apt. How do you say his name? Apt.
Yeah, Apt.
Apt.
Yeah, it's an ECHL defense.
Schneid.
AHL
Schneid.
life.
Yeah. Excitement is needed there.
For sure. So, I'm Tyler Wiese. We expect him to go back for his senior year at this point.
Yeah. So the thing with Ranta though is that like he's living up to all of the draft day hype.
Right.
Because when he got picked, there was a lot of like, ooh, that guy. A lot of people wanted to know when he was going to get taken. He was a guy that a lot of people followed. And why wouldn't you, right? Like the guy's a legit 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a great skater. Was productive, but a little underwhelmingly so in the USHL, and was headed to a power program in Minnesota where you're like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And the freshman year was okay.
He was headed to like 3 different schools at one point, but yeah.
Yeah, he did bounce. He was giving Miss Wisconsin, and then it was like he couldn't get in, and then and so he ends up in Minnesota, and like he has an okay freshman year where you feel fine about it. He's making international appearances for Finland, so and this is right during Finland's golden age, where if you're making that team, you're a pretty damn good player.
He was the last cut for WJCs that year.
Yeah, and then. Sophomore year, it's fine. Like he takes steps forward. He has a couple of big time games that really drive his production. You're feeling pretty good about it. Okay, great. This is encouraging. And then he has a junior year. This is exactly what we talk about when we say the junior year is the pivotal year for a lot of NCAA guys. He has the year that he needs to have. He's second in the nation in goals behind Cole Caulfield. He's like a mile behind Cole Caulfield.
Yeah. He had 18. Caulfield has 28.
Yeah.
So Caulfield's on another plane of existence, but
like a reason that Caulfield was a first round pick and
he's about
doing
to be
his
an
thing.
NHL player.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably going to be on Eric Stahl's line. But with Ranta, like you see how the Avs are playing, and when you look at the NHL team, it's not hard to look at Andre Burakovsky and be like, okay,
go be that dude. Yeah,
that's him. Like that's what you want Ranta to kind of do. Now, Burakovsky's he's brought a playmaking element that I've said in the past has surprised me, that I did not expect him to bring. I don't a long way for Sampo Ranta to prove that he's on an Andre Burakovsky level, that he's a legit top 6 forward in the NHL.
I do think people underrate his passing a little bit. It's not, what Burakovsky has shown in the NHL, obviously, but
I mean, a pretty quiet career. I mean, when you're looking at what developed in the NCAA in terms of production, it was not. He goes from 10 assists to 8 assists to 11 assists in his 3 years there. That kind of stayed stagnant, whereas his goal scoring and his confidence and the things that really stood out to you as, man, this guy's really coming along the development of his game. It was all about the goal scoring. So I will be interested to see how that translates, how the all-around offensive game translates to the next level. He definitely needs to go to the AHL, in my opinion. But
I honestly, I think he's probably a 2-year AHL player. And look, if he shows up and blows the place up, great. But
I wonder if it's more like how Comfort did it, where he shows up and he plays 50 games in the AHL, and then it's like, we're good. We're good. Let's find a spot for him. Now, a little different situation because Comfort was jumping into a team that wanted to clear out veterans and move in younger guys to take spots for development purposes. And Ranta will be facing a team with cup aspirations that will not be just like giving away roster spots because he had a nice 50 AHL games. He will still very much have to earn that. But I mean, it's kind of up to him, right?
A couple of questions from chat here before we got to get out of here because AJ's going over to TDSP. Billy asks, has his hockey IQ gone up? I would say no, but it's a mindset shift for him this year. He understood that he's bigger, stronger, faster than everybody in the NCAA and just played bigger, stronger, faster than everybody in the NCAA. So I think the most encouraging thing about his game this year is, yes, he has the great shot. Yes, he has the great body, but he played like a true power forward this year.
Yeah. I mean, he forced guys to stop him. You look at a bunch of the goals that he scores, and it's just him flying up the right wing, outskating dudes, putting his head down and doing the Val Nichushkin move where he just cuts in hard to the net and bangs the thing into an empty net because the goalie's not expecting him to come across that fast.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, okay. Maybe Burakovsky is the wrong guy. Maybe I should be comparing him to Val Nichushkin.
I mean, that dude's never going to play defense like Val. Yeah. Daniel also asked, how are the AHL playoffs going to work this year? There is a divisional round. They'll crown a divisional champ, and that's the end. They will not award a Calder Cup this year.
Participation trophy.
Pretty much. Yep.
I was going to ask, so he's a junior.
Yeah.
Next year be a senior year. Are the Avs, you never know with these guys. Are they just going to have to sign him to an ELC and burn that first year this year? Because sometimes those guys will be like, well, I can go back for my senior year and maybe go free agent.
No, I mean, a guy like that, not really, because he's not going to push for the NHL team. The guys who can get away with that are like the Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser types. Who
first rounders,
who are guys that are going to jump straight onto the NHL team and be like, I'm here. The Ranta doesn't really have that leverage. Like, sure, but to be honest, if Sampo Ranta like plays hardball and is like, I won't sign my ELC unless you drop me onto the NHL team, the Avs have every right to be like,
not going to sign that dude then, yeah.
Suck my ass, I'm out. Like, we're not doing that.
I bet Joe Sakic says that. That's somebody says.
So how many people is AJ making suck his butt when he's a ghost, all right?
Lord.
I got yelled at for saying the F word once after a heated post-game show, and AJ just said that and nothing.
That came out of nowhere.
On that note,
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like the Avs would be fully entitled to be like, no, shut up.
on that note, we're gonna get out of here for this Free Skate Friday. It got pretty Free Skate Friday there in the middle and towards the end, so I feel like mission accomplished on that front.
I'm gonna be really self-conscious the next time it's business time because I'm gonna be worried about all the ghosts.
It's all right. Winnipeg doesn't have ghosts. You're fine. Anyway, we're gonna get
the ghost of Timu Solani haunts that whole city, dude.
Oh, true, but he's still alive, so that's a weird one.
Okay. He can be in two
Anyway.
places at once.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, however you consume the podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video. That helps us out a ton on YouTube. If you like this kind of nonsensical content, be sure to tune in on Fridays. If you like the more in-depth hockey talk, that's all of our other shows, basically. Tomorrow's game, we're postponing the jorts. I do feel better, but I don't want to go to the bar and get everybody sick. So we are not going to do the show live with the jorts Saturday. We'll figure out a time to do it next week.
Probably next Saturday after the Blues game.
I would say there's a very good chance of that being the time. So still tune in. We'll still be live. It will be Evan and I doing the post game after the Vegas game tomorrow. So hope to see you then. Hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your Friday. And until tomorrow, I guess afternoon, since it's an afternoon game, we will talk to y'all later.